somebody from the public comes and talks about it, then I'm curious. So when you review contracts, I'm assuming, and you're looking for the lowest bidder, that's what you're looking for. Do you look at the lease facts?
Right, so we do audit the contract you have with the firm that is providing those leaseback services to make sure that the payments that are made to them are in accordance with those contracts. So there's like maximum amounts that they can charge and so forth. In terms of the legality, I mean, again, that's a legal question. I can tell you districts throughout the state do leaseback. Just anecdotally, I hear advantages and disadvantages. So those kind of questions would best be answered by district. But once you enter into those contracts, we do make sure that the payments and the way the contracts are managed are being done properly.
But Christy, following up on that, when you do the test of contracts and bid procedures, would the leasebacks fall into those?
No, they don't fall into the same guidelines at all. And so there is, and I'm probably getting a little far afield of my expertise, but there are certain requirements for kind of a competitive process, but it's not the same as selecting lowest responsible bidder. It's more along the line of any professional service is really what you're procuring. So, but again,
it just doesn't fall in.
Exactly.
Fall into these.
And then once you're entering leaseback, then there's no bidding being done by the district for the subcontractors within that. So, and it's all being managed by that separate contract.
But isn't that exactly the point? I mean, I guess.
Well, again, there can be advantages to that because they're capped at the amount of money they can charge. The district, they have an incentive to stay within that. So there's advantages and disadvantages. It's really not something that I'm prepared to discuss with the committee, but something you might have an interest in pursuing.
Maybe we can ask the district those
Right.
questions.
I think
They
that
can
would be
actually
better.
give us
Yeah.
more information about the actual procedure.
Okay, Sean.
I wanted to know if you reviewed the processes for selecting contractors under those leasebacks, because what I heard you say twice now, once before this meeting started, is that the district is following public contract code, and that's not the case with these leasebacks. So I think that and I didn't hear you qualify that.
No,
say that
they are in compliance with the public contract code with leaseback, because when you have a leaseback agreement, the subs that they hire, the district does not go out to competitive bid, and that's the whole idea behind leaseback. It takes it out of public contract code. So yes, I'm saying they are in compliance. It's a legal vehicle that is different than if the district were to be going out and entering into multiple agreements with contractors. So.
But it doesn't mean that there's not competitive bidding occurring.
Right, because you're holding the leaseback company, you're holding them accountable to, there's caps, maximum price guarantee, so they have an incentive to make some money on it and to do, but it's outside of public contract code.
How do you get the competitive bid then? If you're
So that's up to them. That's
and this is a question, and it's probably outside scope. This is a question that's been raised a couple of times at previous meetings. I know I've brought it up a couple of times trying to understand leasebacks and how we've discussed some benefits, we've heard some benefits, but it's hard for everybody to get their hands around the competitive or the lack of competitive bidding process in that. So, Tim, maybe we could ask to have somebody come and speak a little bit more detail to us about that process, so we understand how that works versus the competitive bidding process, because I think it's it's come up several times in the course of the last year, and I don't think anybody has ever gotten really comfortable with that, so it would be helpful to get more clarification on that.
We can do that.
So I have another question. So how many of the lease-leaseback agreements did you all review?
I don't know if we have it in the report.
But you would have just reviewed them to make sure the payments were
Right.
made, not to.
Yeah, I don't have that information on me, but we would look at those, like we would look at any contract, so pull a sample.
So I have another question or comment. I'm wondering how accurate this list is of the members of this committee. On page 2, it says that as of June 30th, 2012, these were the members of this committee, and my memory's not as good as it used to be, but I believe Alicia left the committee before that, and maybe one or two of the other members on here, so I'm not sure that that's accurate. And if we're saying that this is an accurate audit, it should be accurate.
This is provided by the district, so that they'd have to verify whether that's correct or not.
I think.
And by the way, I
Jenny
was
has gone
also
through.
Karen member, so it's a good point.
I have a question on the lease-leaseback. Who advises the district on those that you guys deal with?
We want to answer that right now, or do we want to finish up with Christie? No, we could definitely.
Yeah,
answer.
we can continue, let's finish with Christie's audit, and then we can discuss that. So is there any other
I
questions?
have one question. So I overheard, and I might have heard wrong, but you mentioned that you do first a financial audit for the district, and you also do the audit for the CBOC. Are there any regulations in terms of conflict of interest?
No, because in both cases, we're independent of the district, so we're
Okay.
obligated to be independent, so whether it's working on the district audit or the bond. And in fact, it saves the district money because as we're auditing the district, there's some overlap in terms of the
Work
audit
being done.
activity, right? So it actually saves this program some audit fees.
Alright, and I know that we'll talk about the lease-leaseback later, but my understanding is that it's negotiated. So, construction firms are invited to negotiate with the district, so there's still going on some kind of a price negotiation, obviously. Have you actually reviewed that? Is there any information on that?
No, that wouldn't be within the scope of our audit,
Okay.
those types of negotiations.
Alright.
I guess just for future, I would love to be able to see copies of this before we have the meeting to be able to review it, because it's pretty hard to come up with questions without just having handed this. So to the extent they were done earlier, if we could get them to the members' hands beforehand so we can review and actually have more intelligent questions going in, that would be helpful.
When was it complete? This
We
audit?
completed our audit in January, and then we provided drafts, and then there was a review process with the district too.
Okay.
So the due date is, as we talked earlier, is March 31st, so.
Okay.
Any other questions on the audit at this point?
So basically, your firm says the district's in compliance.
Correct.
It's on the information last year.
Marie was asking me what it was last year.
Last year,
There
there
was
was
an audit,
something that
there
was
was
not
a-
perfect. So I'm
was a-
trying to remember what was the issue last year.
I think it was again, the Citizens Oversight Committee there was a senior
member.
citizen
Alright.
organization representative, not on the committee, so.
Okay.
If you go to page 26, it's where the prior year finding resolution is.
Oh, okay.
It's in the last page.
The findings